The next time when you feel an unwanted emotion, sadness, anger, grief, anxiety, instead of running away, instead of pushing it away, do this. It takes 5 minutes and will change the way you relate to your emotions forever. First of all, you gotta understand this. Your emotions are always here to communicate with you. But the problem is that most people suppress their emotions. They push them away, they run from them, and they never allow themselves to fully feel them. And what this leads to is that they stagnate, that they stagnate your energy field, you know? Because emotions are energy emotion. And if you don't allow yourself to express that emotion, it becomes stagnant energy. And often when you suppress those emotions, they come out in worse moments, in worse ways that you don't even want to. Maybe you snap out at someone you love. Maybe you snap out with at the wrong moment, you know, and it just makes situations way worse because you have all of this suppressed stuff inside of you. And they also control you. If you're not aware of your emotions, then if you don't allow yourself to feel them, they control you. And you're controlled by them instead of having a relationship with them. And when you start establishing a relationship with your emotions, it changes everything because all of a sudden you're not controlled by them anymore. And here's a 5-minute practice that you can do and that I encourage you to do the next time when you feel something heavy that you want to avoid. First of all, set a timer for 5 minutes. Sit down and start to breathe slowly. Start to really breathe deeply into your belly, because when you breathe, you connect to your life energy, you connect to your life force. And just breathe into your belly and allow yourself to take a couple of breaths. And then ask yourself, what am I feeling? What is it that I'm feeling right now? And instead of saying, I feel this or I am this, because that's when you identify with the emotion, just say there is a feeling of anger. There's a feeling of sadness. There's a feeling of anxiety. Just name the feeling. After you named it, ask yourself, where do I feel this in my body? That's also important because you have different parts inside of you, and when you locate it in your body, it's easier to identify where it is. So, for example, maybe it's in your stomach, maybe it's in your chest, maybe it's in your head, maybe you've been thinking too much. But what's important is that you just ask yourself, where do I feel this in my body? And then place your hand on where you feel it and keep on breathing into it. For example, if it's in the chest, keep on breathing into your chest instead of the belly. And then once you allow yourself to expand the feeling, even if it's uncomfortable, really allow yourself to expand the feeling. And ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? What is the message behind this feeling? If this feeling were a person, what would it try to tell me? And then you listen. You listen closely to what this emotion has to tell you, and it always has a message. Maybe you don't get this at the first practice, but keep on doing this and you will find out what the message behind that emotion is. And once you feel that emotion, once you get what the message behind that emotion is, just thank it. Just listen to it and thank it. Thank it for being there. And then say, I allow myself to feel this. I thank you for being here. And allow you to be released now. I release you now. And when you do this, usually the emotion will soften. Usually it will dissolve by itself, because all your emotions really want is for you to listen to them. And when you take the time to breathe into it, when you take the time to identify what that emotion is, when you identify what the message behind that emotion is, you already got it. So, what do you do next? Some people might ask, or you might ask. What do you do when you find out what the message behind the emotion is? Usually that message already tells you what you need to do. For example, if you have anger, it might be a sign that you have been suppressing yourself from speaking up. Maybe you didn't speak up in a conflict. Maybe you haven't been speaking up in years when somebody is treating you like shit, you know? Maybe it's time to step up for yourself, not in a disrespectful way, not in a childish way, but simply to set boundaries and to say, this is not okay. You don't have to talk to me like this. Talk to me differently, you know, in a conversation. It's something that I've been struggling with in my teenage years and something I've had to learn. But that anger, if that message is, I'm angry at you, or this anger is here because you haven't spoken up for yourself, then you already have the message. You need to change your action. And when you change your action, when you change your response, how you respond to the situation, you change the outcome. And you also change the emotion. Another emotion, for example, if you feel grief, maybe it's a sign that you haven't allowed yourself to release that grief. Maybe someone has left you in a relationship. Maybe you had a disappointing moment in your career that left you frustrated, and you never allowed yourself to let this frustration or this grief out. Maybe you lost someone who's close to you, and you didn't allow yourself to release it. And actually, it's a good example because I lost my brother a couple of weeks ago. And at first, when I found out about it, I wasn't particularly sad. This maybe sounds harsh for you right now, but I have a different relationship to death because I'm half Nigerian, half Austrian, and I've seen how people in Africa and Nigeria, or in most parts in Africa, treat death. And death is seen as a transition to the spirit realm, and you celebrate the death. You don't celebrate the death, you celebrate the life this person had. And usually people don't grieve that much. Like, of course, they also allow themselves to grieve, but it's more a celebration of the life they had. So you're grateful for the moments you had with this person, and you're grateful for the experience you had, and you celebrate that the spirit has passed on to the next realm. But when I found out about it, I wasn't really sad, but I had to navigate what I'm feeling. And on that day, I didn't really feel a lot of grief. But on the next day, when I took the time to write in my journal and took the time to process what I'm feeling. I had to cry. I had to release a lot of emotions because I felt the little child, because it was my senior brother. I felt the little child inside of me that lost his older brother, and I just had to let it out. And it was a very liberating feeling. It was a feeling that was much needed. It was a situation and a moment that was much needed, because if I never allowed myself to feel that, even if it's just a tiny feeling of grief, even though I know the spirit has passed on and it lives on, but if I hadn't allowed myself to feel that, it would have been a suppressed emotion that maybe had stagnated my energy for years. And especially a lot of men don't allow themselves to feel that. Men think it's weak if you cry. It's weak if you express your emotions. It's weak to feel what you feel, but it's not. It's damaging you, and actually you're weak when you're not feeling. You're weak when you suppress your emotions, So this is an example from my experience. And when I let it out, I felt free. I felt liberated, and I let it out with gratitude as well, because I firmly believe that it's also how you see things. I kept the beautiful moments in my life, the beautiful moments I had in my memory and in my heart, and that's why I have a different perspective on that. But I allowed myself to release that grief. Another emotion that could block you, for example, is exhaustion. When you feel exhausted, maybe that emotion is telling you need some rest. You've been doing too much. And you see the message in that emotion is already telling you what to do. Maybe you need to slow down. Maybe you need to go on a nature walk. Maybe you need to go on a retreat. Go somewhere into the hills for weeks and just allow yourself to be, And when you listen to that, when you listen to what your emotions have to tell you, you establish a relationship with them. And you got to see it as a little child tugging on your sleeve, Just imagine there's a child tugging on your sleeve. If you keep on ignoring it, it will probably tug harder and be like, hey, listen to me, But if you just listen, usually it will feel heard, it will feel seen, and will stop annoying you with the tugging, right? But if you keep on pushing it away, it will probably tug harder, or even worse, at some point it will stop caring, not stop caring, but it will feel so hurt, and it will just stop tugging at your sleeve at all. It will stop coming to you at all, and will stop asking you to listen to it, because you never listen to it anyway, and it's just a sad child. And this sad child is living in you, and it becomes this stagnant energy. And a lot of people have this. When you walk out on the streets, most people carry so many heavy emotions with them that's not necessary. We all go through trials and tribulations in life, but it's about how you see it and how you deal with it. And when you do this process, if you practice this continuously, if you allow yourself to sit with your emotions, feel it, name it, locate it in your body and release it, you become more free and you have more joy. And the good thing is, when sadness comes up, you can release it in a moment and it doesn't haunt you. When the grief comes up, you release it in a moment and it doesn't haunt you. When anger comes up, you allow yourself to express it. Sometimes it's also good to just scream and to let it out, That's another thing. You shouldn't be ashamed of what you feel, because those are common mistakes. People often judge themselves for what they feel. You don't have to judge yourself for what you feel. It's completely normal to feel what you feel, and you're allowed to feel what you feel. But the important thing is that you don't get attached to that feeling. And what this practice does, it allows you to detach, to become aware that you are the observer. Or how I like to see it is like you become the parent and you see those emotions as the children. But if you attach to the emotion, it's like you are this child that doesn't know how to control itself. But if you flip the position, if you switch to the parent, then all of those emotions are just children that are living inside of you, and they just want you to listen to it. And you're the caring parent that listens to them, and it's like, okay, I hear you. And it doesn't mean that you always have to act on that emotion. Sometimes it's also good to say, I feel you. I feel the sadness, or I feel the fear. I feel the fear of failure, for example, because something in the past happened, and I'm afraid that this will happen again. That's what the emotion tells you. And you say, I hear you. I feel you. But it's not here now, like this was in the past, and I'm here now. I'm strong enough, and I'm leading us to where we need to go. But that's why it's so important to establish the relationship with that emotion. You know what I mean? And that's why don't judge yourself for what you feel. And also always remember that they are trying to help you. They're trying to communicate something with you, and when you listen, they usually soften. So don't judge yourself for what you feel. Okay. And one more thing that I've written down here, don't try to fix the emotion, because a lot of times people think they have to fix something, or that they have to be happy, or they have to be in a top state, and this emotion is bad, and I need to get rid of this. Then you're already lost, because then you the resistance of the emotion grows. But when you just allow yourself to feel it, and allow yourself to release it, and not trying to change it, but just listen to it, then you don't build this resistance with it, and it doesn't build a resistance towards you. You just accept yourself as you are, and you intend to feel better, but you also allow yourself to feel fully what you feel right now. And when you allow yourself to feel what you feel fully, it usually disappears quickly. So the next time when you feel an unwanted emotion, remind yourself, take the time, take 5 minutes to practice this. Take 5 minutes to practice your just feeling. Practice feeling. Although it sounds funny, but we need to practice feeling. Sit down, set a time of 5 minutes, breathe into your body, connect to your breath. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? Name the feeling. Locate it inside of your body. Put your hands in there. Breathe on there. Breathe into that feeling. And once you've really establish that connection to it, ask yourself, what is the message of that feeling? And when you get that message, you know what you need to do, you know what you need to release, and honor yourself for doing it, honor the emotion, and honor your life. Because like I said, it's a relationship that you have to have with them. And once you establish this relationship with it, they become powerful tools, powerful servants that help you along your journey, and you're no longer controlled by them. That's why this is so important. So I hope this could help. If you want to go deeper into this, I'm soon launching something called the 7-Day Alchemy Method, where I show you in detail how to release emotional and energetic blockages so that you can step into creative flow. And I'm launching this soon, so you can sign up for the waitlist in the link in the description, or in the link in the bio. And I thank you for your time. I thank you for being here. Let me know how this worked for you. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And I talk to you soon. I'm Law Haru, and this is The Way of Law. One love.